The system was simple. Everyone understood it. Books were for burning, along with the houses in which they were hiding. This is a sentence from the back cover of Ray Bradbury's novel, Fahrenheit 451, which is a story about a society that criminalized reading books. Now, this may sound unrealistic and far-fetched to those of us who have experienced the relative freedom of speech that Americans are given. I say relative because our society is taken to picking and choosing what books are appropriate reading material. We may not be actually burning the books, but we ban important literary works like Fahrenheit 451 in schools on the sensitivities of a select few. Now let's talk about why these books are arbitrarily banned from school libraries. Are they evil? Corrupt? Let's talk about a few of these books that you've most likely read. Harry Potter and his 7-book tale of magic, coming of age, learning to overcome extreme losses, and how good triumphs over evil is banned in many school libraries. Why? Because it's too scary. Harry Potter breaks the rules, and magic isn't real. Those are all valid reasons, of course. A child will never experience fear and should therefore not read of another child who faced his fears. Rules are always there for a reason, and we should never question authority. That's actually an American tenet, if you didn't know. We certainly did not found this country as a group of rebels fighting against oppression. And as for magic not being real, well, we should probably also ban the entire fiction section in the library just in case, right? Let's move to a different book, one that's considered an educational staple in many areas. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Concerned citizens throughout the country were outraged by the racial slurs, the language, how rage and rape were central themes, and also how casually racism was treated. Those may sound like legitimate concerns, do they not? But let's examine the story a little bit closer. To Kill a Mockingbird was written to have an underlying message of hope, how to believe that there is good even though evil exists. The Diary of Anne Frank is another book that has a theme of oppression, centered around one of the worst periods of our history, the Nazi Holocaust. In this book, Anne Frank says, "I still believe that people are inherently good at heart despite everything." So despite everything, she still sees hope. Have you ever heard the phrase, "Those who do not remember history are doomed to repeat it"? It's important for children to understand that racism, prejudice, and injustice do occur in our society. They have to know this and truly understand it, or our children are someday going to repeat our mistakes. Melissa Kelly, in an About.com Answers Guide, states that education is not something to be feared. It's difficult, perhaps as a parent, to want your child to understand that there are ugly truths about this world. It would be easier to shelter them and pretend that the uncomfortable parts of our society just didn't exist. But you can't do that. You can't always protect them. And if you haven't taught your children how to identify injustice and stand up for themselves and stand up for others, how to handle these trials, what are they going to do? Without these literary examples, our children are suffering from a lack of role models who are succeeding under duress. They don't learn why a small wrong can't be overlooked because it's small. Our education system will have failed completely when we produce a generation that graduates without the knowledge of why what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. Banning controversial books and avoiding those hard conversations is the first step on that path to failure. And the other part of this argument is that banning a book in school is pointless. This is America. We don't have the same kind of censorship laws that other countries have. You can take The Catcher in the Rye off the shelves in your school library, but your child can still get a copy at a bookstore or even off the internet. All those inappropriate things that you worked so hard to keep your child away from are still there. But when the child gets the book on their own, without the guidance of an educator, you end up with a child only seeing the words that you don't want them to see, and they don't understand the meaning behind those words that they desperately need to understand. In the Atlantic Wire, writer Jen Dahl states that banning a book actually causes a surge of interest in the book, causing children to search for the banned book more after it was banned than they had before. So, as you can see, banning books in our educational system has a negative impact on future generations. Our children must learn about the world, all of it. And allowing schools to teach this information ensures that our children don't just see the racial slurs and innuendos, they're going to receive knowledge and understanding on the meaning of the book and how it impacts our society. Don't let our educational system fail our children. Be a part of the solution and don't ban books.